My beloved brothers and sisters, today I want to share with you something that many people don't realize, yet it has the power to completely transform your life. It is about a very special time, the time after Fajr until sunrise. The Prophet Muhammad prayed for blessings in the early mornings of this Ummah. He said, "O Allah, bless my Ummah in its early mornings to midi." Islam places great emphasis on the early hours of the morning, especially the time after Fajr. This is not just because it's the beginning of the day, but because Allah's Son has placed special blessings and hidden treasures in this part of the day. The Prophet Muhammad made a beautiful dua. "O Allah, bless my Ummah in its early mornings," to Midi Abu Dawud. This hadith shows us that the Prophet is specifically asked Allah to grant success, rizq, barakah to those who begin their day after Fajr. When a believer prays Fajr and remains awake, engaging in remembrance of Allah, reciting Quran, or even starting their daily tasks, they are stepping into a time where divine blessings are flowing. This is why the scholars of Islam often advise their students never to waste the hours between Fajr and sunrise, because they are filled with light, clarity, and productivity. Barakah, or blessings, is not limited to wealth. It means increased goodness and ease in all aspects of life. A person who makes the habit of staying awake after Fajr often finds their time more productive, their mind clearer, and their heart more peaceful. Small efforts done during these hours carry heavy weight with Allah. For example, reciting Quran in the quiet of the morning not only strengthens one's connection with Allah, but also imprints His words deeply into the heart. The Quran itself highlights the power of the morning. Allah says, "And establish prayer at the two ends of the day and at the approach of the night. Indeed, good deeds do away with misdeeds." That is a reminder for those who remember. Surah Hajj 11 fully yours. The scholars mention Fajr as one of those critical ones of the day, where salah and remembrance cleans the heart and bring barakah into one's life. From a practical perspective, science itself confirms that early mornings are the most productive hours for the mind and body. Waking up early improves focus, creativity, and discipline. For a believer, this scientific truth only adds to what we already know from Revelation, that Allah has placed hidden barakah in the mornings. The Sahabas, companions of the Prophet were known for beginning their trade, work, and learning immediately after Fajr. They understood that to benefit from the Prophet's dua for barakah, they had to act upon it. Those who made use of the mornings often found their wealth growing, their health improving, and their spiritual lives flourishing. On the other hand, those who waste this time in sleep often complain of laziness, a lack of time, and a heavy heart. This is because they have missed out on the portion of blessings Allah placed in these hours. Therefore, if you want your life, rizq, and family to be filled with barakah, protect the time after Fajr. Spend it in dhikr, Quran dua, or productive tasks. This small habit can transform your dunya and akhirah because it aligns you with the special prayer of the Prophet. "O Allah, bless my Ummah in its early mornings." One of the most powerful realities about the time between Fajr and sunrise is that it is not just any ordinary part of the day. It is a time when the angels of Allah are present and witness the actions of the believer. This makes it an honored and sacred period, one that carries immense weight in the sight of Allah sent. The Prophet Muhammad said in an authentic hadith, "Angels take turns in visiting you by night and by day, and they all assemble at the Fajr and ask prayers. Those who have spent the night with you ascend to the heavens, and their Lord asks them, though He knows better than them, 'In what condition did you leave my servants?' They reply, 'We left them while they were praying, and we came to them while they were praying.'" The Bukhari and Muslim. This hadith tells us that at the time of Fajr, there is a shift between the angels of the night and the angels of the day. Both groups are present at this moment, and both carry the report of your actions back to Allah Singh. Imagine the honor of being recorded in the heavens as someone who was engaged in salah, dhikr, or Quran recitation at that exact moment. From Fajr until sunrise, every action you do is under the watch of angels. This should inspire us to make this time meaningful. Instead of turning back to sleep or wasting it in idleness, it is an opportunity to fill your record with acts that will please Allah. Simple actions like reciting a few pages of Quran, making istighfar, sending salawat upon the Prophet, or engaging in quiet dua are magnified because they are witnessed and written by multiple angels. The Quran itself highlights the significance of Fajr. Establish prayer at the decline of the sun until the darkness of the night, and also the Quran of dawn. Indeed, the recitation of dawn is ever witnessed. Surah Al-Isra 1778a. The scholars of Tafsir explain that the recitation of dawn refers to the Fajr prayer and Quran recited in that time. It is ever witnessed, meaning the angels of Allah are present to hear it. Allah Himself honors it. This makes the Quran recited at Fajr more impactful, leaving a lasting imprint on the heart of the believer. When you stay awake after Fajr, You are essentially living in a time when the heavens are open for mercy, forgiveness, and blessings. To be heedless during this sacred time is to miss out on the opportunity to be remembered in the highest company of angels. For this reason, the pious predecessors would treat the time between Fajr and sunrise as golden hours. Some would devote themselves to Daka, others to Qur'an, and others to teaching and learning knowledge. They understood that angels were recording them, so they wanted to be remembered in the best state possible. In today's world, we may be tempted to go back to sleep after Fajr, but remembering that angels are present and writing down our deeds can change our mindset. Why not be written in the records of heaven as someone engaged in worship instead of one lost in heedlessness? Thus, the time between Fajr and sunrise is not ordinary. It is a divinely chosen window where your deeds carry extra weight. Use it wisely and let the angels carry your best report back to Allah. Islam emphasizes balance between rest and worship, but it also teaches us the value of the early morning hours. Sleeping right after Fajr, especially as a daily habit, has been discouraged by many scholars because it often leads to laziness, negligence, and a weakening of spiritual awareness. These hours, which the Prophet prayed would be filled with blessings for his Ummah, are not meant to be wasted in heedlessness. The Prophet Muhammad said, "O Allah, bless my Ummah in its early mornings." Tirmidhi. This shows that the Prophet wanted his followers to use the time after Fajr productively, whether in worship, seeking knowledge, or engaging in halal work. Sleeping during these hours makes us miss out on that special blessing, and over time it causes spiritual dullness. When a person returns to sleep immediately after Fajr, they are not only missing out on Barakah, but also allowing their soul to sink into a state of heedlessness. The heart, which was awakened during Saylah, slowly falls back into Ghafla, forgetfulness. Instead of carrying the light of Fajr into the rest of the day, the person's mind and body slip into a state of heaviness. This affects concentration in dhikr, Qur'an recitation, and even worldly tasks throughout the day. The Qur'an repeatedly warns against heedlessness. Allah can says, "And be not among the heedless." So Surah Al-Araf 72:5, sleeping unnecessarily during a time of worship and remembrance can slowly turn into a habit of heedlessness, which distances a believer from Allah's sign. The early scholars observed this closely. Imam Ibn al-Qayyim at-Tiyodiyah mentioned that sleeping after Fajr dulls the body and mind, while staying awake fills a person with energy and alertness for the entire day. Similarly, Imam al-Ghazali at-Tiyodiyah advised against turning Fajr into a time of sleep because it leads to a heavy heart and wasted blessings. There is also a deeper wisdom here. The morning is the time when the heart is most calm, the mind is fresh, and distractions are few. This is the ideal time for Qur'an recitation, reflection, and dua. Allah then chose this time specifically for His remembrance, as He says, "And glorify your Lord in the morning and the evening." So Surah Ghafir 45. To ignore this invitation by sleeping through it is to lose a chance at true closeness to Allah. Of course, Islam does not prohibit sleep altogether. If someone is extremely tired due to work illness, then resting after Fajr may be understandable. But turning it into a routine habit without necessity is what leads to spiritual weakness. The believer should strive to train their soul to remain awake, using this time wisely, whether for worship, reflection, or even starting their day's work. In short, sleeping after Fajr regularly dulls the heart, weakens discipline, and deprives the believer of the barakah placed in the mornings. The more a person guards this time, the stronger their awareness of Allah becomes, and the more they feel His presence throughout the day. One of the most beautiful aspects of Islam is that it is not just a religion of rituals, but a complete way of life. The Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad gives us a daily rhythm that leads to productivity, inner peace, and closeness to Allah. And among these habits is staying awake after Fajr, a practice deeply rooted in the lifestyle of the Prophet and his companions. The Prophet would remain awake after Fajr and engage in dhikr, reflection, and sometimes addressing the needs of his community. There is a narration that the Prophet would sit in the masjid after Fajr until the sun had risen, remembering Allah with his companions. After sunrise, he would then pray 2 rakahs, which is known as Salat al-Ishraq. This shows that his mornings were not spent in sleep, but in active worship, teaching, and preparation for the day ahead. The companions, Sahaba, followed this sunnah. They would use the time after Fajr to start their daily activities, whether it was trade, seeking knowledge, or working in their fields. They believed that the dua of the Prophet, "O Allah, bless my Ummah in its early mornings," Tirmidhi, was directly linked to staying awake and using the morning hours productively. Staying awake after Fajr is also a reflection of discipline, which is a core part of the Sunnah lifestyle. Islam trains us to rise early, pray Fajr, and then remain active. This sets a routine where the believer's day begins with worship and purpose rather than laziness and heedlessness. It is not surprising that modern studies also confirm what Islam taught centuries ago. Waking up early leads to higher productivity, better focus, and improved health. Spiritually, aligning with this sunnah brings the believer closer to Allah Tang. The Quran highlights the importance of morning remembrance and exalt Allah with praise of your Lord before the rising of the sun and before its setting. So Surah Kahf 53:9. This verse emphasizes that mornings are a special time for dhikr and glorification of Allah Tin, not for heedless sleep. The sunnah lifestyle is about harmony between worship and worldly duties. By staying awake after Fajr, a believer not only fulfills a spiritual goal but also finds balance in worldly life. Tasks done in the morning are easier, carry more barakah, and allow the believer to manage the rest of the day with peace of mind. On the contrary, those who turn back to sleep after Fajr often struggle with laziness, missed opportunities, and wasted time. Their days start late and they miss the blessings that the Prophet prayed for his Ummah. This is why the early Muslims treated mornings as a gift, a time when the doors of rizq, knowledge, and guidance are opened wide. In short, staying awake after Fajr is not just about avoiding sleep, it is about living in sync with the Sunnah lifestyle. It connects the believer to the practice of the Prophet, fills life with barakah, and sets the tone for a day of discipline, productivity, and closeness to Allah. Whoever adopts this sunnah finds both the dunya and akhirah enriched, for they are walking the path illuminated by the Messenger of Allah.